Before coffee ever touched a morning table, there was another drink. It was warm, dark, and made from a pod so old that its seeds helped shape the way people measured precious things. Long before paper cups, espresso machines, and $5 drinks, people in the hills of Galilee began their day with something simpler, quieter, and far more nourishing. By the end of this story, you will know what that drink was, why it appears through the world of Scripture, what modern nutrition reveals about it, and how you can prepare its ingredients in your own kitchen or garden. But I will not name it too soon. First, you need to step into a morning that happened 2,000 years ago. Picture a small limestone house above Nazareth before sunrise. The walls are pale and cool. A clay oven rests in the corner, still holding the last warmth of yesterday's fire. Dried herbs hang from a wooden beam. A narrow window faces east, where the first line of light is beginning to touch the hills. A woman rises from a low mat on the stone floor. She moves softly, careful not to wake the whole house. She does not reach for a coffee pot. She does not reach for a kettle with roasted beans. Coffee has not yet reached this land. It will not become part of Mediterranean mornings for many centuries. Morning. In first century Galilee was not a slow ritual of comfort. It was the beginning of work. Bread had to be baked. Animals needed water. Fields needed hands. Fishermen on the Sea of Galilee had already been awake for hours, pulling nets in the dark before dawn. So the first drink of the day could not be an empty stimulant that faded before midday. It had to be food in liquid form. It had to warm the hands, steady the stomach, and carry the body into labor. And every ingredient came from nearby soil: the garden, the hillside, the orchard, and the trees that grew where ordinary families lived. The drink was a roasted carob brew, steeped with mint and hyssop, then softened with a sliced dried fig. 4 simple ingredients. No factory, no label, no imported beans. Just pods, leaves, fruit, and hot water. Today, when many people hear the word carob, they imagine a dry brown health food bar from decades ago, something sold as a disappointing replacement for chocolate. But that is not what carob truly is. Carob was never meant to imitate chocolate. It is one of the oldest food plants in the Mediterranean world, a pod that fed families long before modern nutrition labels existed. Carob also appears in the world of the Bible. In the story of the prodigal son, he is so hungry that he longs to fill his stomach with the pods given to the pigs. The Greek word used there refers to carob pods. Across the Mediterranean, carob became known by another name as well, St. John's bread, because old tradition connected it with the food eaten by John the Baptist in the wilderness. Then there is mint. Jesus mentions mint directly when speaking about the herbs the Pharisees carefully tithed. It was not rare or exotic. It was the kind of plant that could grow near a doorway, beside a wall, or in the small garden of an ordinary household. Hyssop carries even deeper meaning. It appears in the Passover story, when the Israelites used it to mark their doorposts. David speaks of being cleansed with hyssop in the Psalms, and in the Gospel of John, hyssop is present at the cross. This small herb was tied to purification, sacrifice, and sacred memory. And then there is the fig. The fig tree is one of the first named trees in Scripture. Figs were food for travelers, food for families, food that could be dried and stored when fresh fruit was no longer in season. A single dried fig could sweeten a drink without refined sugar, while also adding minerals and fiber. So this was not a random mixture. It was a drink built from the landscape of Scripture itself. Every ingredient had a place in the ancient world. Every ingredient could be grown, harvested, dried, and shared. And together, they created something modern coffee could never be, a morning drink that actually fed the body. Here is where the old drink becomes more than history. It becomes a serious question about what we call energy. Most people say coffee gives them energy. But technically, coffee does not feed your body. Caffeine works mainly by blocking adenosine, the chemical signal that tells your brain you are tired. So after coffee, you may feel awake, but your cells have not received meaningful fuel. A plain cup of black coffee contains only a few calories. It tricks the feeling of fatigue, but it does not rebuild the body that is tired. Now compare that with a cup made from roasted carob powder and a dried fig. That drink contains real metabolic energy. Not a violent rush, not a nervous buzz, but natural carbohydrates your body can actually use. The dried fig adds sweetness. while the carob brings a deep roasted flavor that feels almost like caramel, malt, and cocoa without being any of those things. This is why the old morning drink mattered. It did not simply wake people up. It helped carry them through work. Carob contains calcium, while coffee contains very little. Calcium is not just for bones. It also supports muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and steady function throughout the day. Carob also contains iron, and that matters even more for people who always feel tired. Iron helps carry oxygen through the blood. Without enough oxygen moving to the cells, the body can feel heavy, slow, and drained no matter how much caffeine someone drinks. Think of a woman in her 60s pouring her third cup of coffee before noon. She thinks she needs more caffeine. But maybe what her body has been asking for is not another stimulant. Maybe it is minerals, fiber, and actual nourishment. Carob also brings B vitamins, including nutrients involved in converting food into usable energy. Coffee cannot replace that. Then there is fiber. A serving of carob powder can add meaningful fiber to the drink, especially when paired with a fig. That fiber slows the release of natural sugars, so the energy arrives more gradually instead of rising fast and disappearing. And unlike coffee, carob contains no caffeine, no dependency, no shaking hands, no afternoon crash that sends you back for another cup. Add mint, and the drink becomes bright and refreshing. Mint naturally supports alertness and digestion. Add hyssop, and you bring in an herb long used in traditional cultures for breathing and cleansing. Add the fig, and you have potassium, sweetness, and slow fuel. 4 ingredients. No chemical jolt, no crash. Just a steady cup built for a body that has work to do. So why did a drink like this disappear? Not because it was weak. Not because it lacked nutrition. Not because people suddenly discovered something better. It disappeared because the modern world became very good at replacing simple things with profitable things. For thousands of years, carob was a food of survival. Around the Mediterranean, families knew the tree well. It grew in dry soil. It handled heat. It did not demand constant care. When grain failed, when trade stopped, when war or famine emptied the storage jars, the carob tree still produced pods. It was not glamorous, but it was dependable. That is why carob was carried by merchants, stored by families, and fed to both people and animals. In hard seasons, the same pod that sweetened a morning drink could become the food that kept a household alive. It was humble, but it was powerful in the way truly useful foods often are. Then coffee entered the story. Coffee spread across the Middle East and Mediterranean through trade, empire, and habit. It was bitter, intense, and stimulating. Most importantly, it created desire. A person could wake up tired, drink coffee, feel suddenly sharper, and then want that feeling again the next morning. Over time, coffee did not just become a drink. It became a ritual, a business, and eventually a global addiction. Carob could not compete with that kind of system. A carob tree grows for decades. Its pods can be harvested, roasted, ground, and brewed with very little technology. That makes it useful for families, but not very exciting for industries that need constant demand, branding, and dependency. So carob was pushed aside. First, many people began to see it as animal feed. Later, when health food stores tried to bring it back, they made a mistake. They marketed it as a chocolate replacement. But carob is not chocolate, and it should never have been forced to pretend. Those dry, chalky bars gave an ancient food a bad reputation it did not deserve. And while coffee shops multiplied on every corner, the older drink faded from memory. But the trees never vanished. Carob still grows across warm regions. Mint still spreads in pots and gardens. Hyssop still blooms. Fig trees still bear fruit in season. The drink was not destroyed. It was simply forgotten by a culture trained to overlook anything too cheap, too simple, and too easy to make at home. Now imagine the drink being made, not as a recipe on a screen, but as part of life. It is early morning in Bethany. The air is still cool, and the village has not fully awakened. Inside a small stone house, a woman kneels beside a clay oven where the last coals glow softly. The room smells of warm earth, smoke, and dried herbs. Near the window, a sprig of mint grows in a clay pot. Above the oven, hyssop hangs in a small bundle, drying slowly in the heat of the house. From a tall jar, she takes roasted carob pods, dark from the fire and fragrant with a sweet, earthy scent. She grinds the pods by hand, pressing them against stone, until they become a fine powder. There is no machine, no package, no printed instruction. Only memory. Her mother made it this way. Her grandmother made it this way. The knowledge was not written down because it lived in the hands. She drops the carob powder into a cup. Then she tears a few mint leaves and adds them. She takes 2 small hyssop leaves from the drying bundle. Finally, she reaches for a dried fig, slices it thin, and lays the pieces on top. Hot water is poured slowly over everything. Steam rises. The mint opens first, sharp and fresh. The hyssop follows with its clean herbal scent. The carob turns the water deep brown, and the fig begins to soften, releasing its sweetness into the cup. This is what ancient nourishment looked like. Not complicated, not expensive, not owned by a company. Just 4 ingredients from the land, prepared with care. And you can make it today. Put 2 teaspoons of roasted carob powder into a mug. Add 3 or 4 fresh mint leaves. Add 2 or 3 small hyssop leaves, fresh or dried. Slice 1 dried fig into thin pieces and place it in the cup. Pour hot water over the mixture and let it steep for 5 to 7 minutes. Stir it well before drinking. If you want a richer flavor, let it steep a little longer. If you want more sweetness, press the softened fig against the side of the cup with a spoon. If you still need it sweeter, add a small spoon of raw honey. But try it first without changing too much. Let the drink show you what it is. Warm, gentle, slightly sweet, earthy, and steady. It will not hit you like coffee. It will not shout in your nervous system. It will arrive quietly, the way real food does. And that may be exactly what your mornings have been missing. If you want to bring this drink back into your own life, start small. You do not need a farm. You do not need a perfect garden. You only need 1 cup, 1 habit, and a few ingredients that have been waiting for people to remember them. Mint is the easiest place to begin. Plant it in a pot, not directly in the ground, because mint spreads fast. Give it a little sunlight, water it every few days, and it will reward you quickly. In a few weeks, you can begin taking leaves for your morning cup. It grows like abundance itself, always reaching outward. Hyssop asks for even less. It likes sun, well-drained soil, and patience. Plant it once in a container or garden bed, and it can return year after year. It is not a dramatic plant, but it is faithful, the kind of herb you almost forget until you need it, and then it is there. For the fig, you can simply buy dried figs from a grocery store. But if you live in a warm climate, or if you can grow a fig tree in a large container, you can dry your own. Slice fresh figs in half, place them in the sun for a few days, or use a low oven until they become soft, chewy, and concentrated. Store them in a glass jar in a cool, dark place. 1 dried fig is enough for 1 cup. Roasted carob powder is the only ingredient most people will need to buy. Choose one with a clean label. It should say only carob. No sugar, no flavoring, no additives. Just the pod, roasted and ground. And if you live somewhere warm enough for a carob tree, consider planting one. A carob tree is not a short-term project. It is a gift to the future. It can live for generations, survive dry seasons, and produce food long after the person who planted it is gone. That is the beauty of this old drink. It does not only change what you put in your cup, it changes how you think about food. Instead of asking what brand can sell you energy, you begin asking what the soil was already designed to provide. A modern morning often begins with stress, caffeine, and a body forced to move faster than it feels ready to move. But an older morning began differently. It began with plants, water, warmth, and nourishment. It began with something grown, dried, steeped, and shared. Maybe your body does not need another stronger coffee. Maybe it needs a quieter cup. A cup with real fuel, minerals, fiber, herbs, and sweetness that comes from fruit instead of refined sugar. A cup that does not borrow energy from your afternoon, but gives your morning something steady to stand on. The carob trees are still standing. The mint is still spreading. The hyssop is still blooming. The figs are still drying in the sun. Nothing essential has disappeared. We simply forgot where to look. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for the same old cup, pause for a moment. Ask yourself whether your body needs a stimulant, or whether it needs to be fed. Because somewhere in your kitchen, there may be an empty cup waiting for something older, wiser, and far more nourishing than coffee.